SoFi has made a massive price action movement, guys. We have seen stock price break out of this cup and handle structure around that 1350 level. Since then, we have knifed up, being choppy until getting the breakout candle over here. Since then, just sprinting up. Incredible price action activity, breaking over these highs we mentioned in the last video. Now sprinting and finding resistance at that psychological $20 level, guys. That being said, my name is Dylan. Dylan's Trades. Let's get straight into this technical analysis breakdown. Wasting no time, first centering over to the weekly analysis. On the weekly analysis, guys, we get a great perspective of stock price. Very, very simple in nature, guys. We have set a $24 to $25 price target within last video. When we initially broke out from this very obvious cup and handle, which we do have marked up here, right? These very obvious constraints, a sharp downtrend initiating from these IPO range. We knifed down, guys, about a year of a downtrend, entering about a year and a half to about a year, right? Year and a half or so of consolidation, breaking this area value, coming down, retesting it once, twice, 2 weeks, and then a big movement up, leading to this cup-like formation into this handle, which did break out to the upside, leading to this 1850 target. Now we do have a $24 to $25 price target being set, guys. So the number one thing we want to focus on SoFi, as you know, there's a lot of erratic movement since breaking out of this handle, hence this strong price action. So this is not the time we want to pull out a magnifying glass and, you know, do this on the big analysis. These weekly analysis give us a good perspective of what's to come in the future, in the macro perspective. So with that being said, the number one thing we want to initiate and really just keep in mind, guys, is this huge high over here. We've been mentioning this, guys, being that 1840, 1850 level. When we did initiate the top, the ascension within the end of this cup phase, we broke this area value and sprinted, guys, with no issues at all from that 780 level. Just kicking ass, guys. A strong movement. No issue at all, running up, running up, running up. And then we got really, really tight in this big resistance marker, guys. We really had a hard time here. And then right when we gap over it, we left a very obvious blow off top. This is a picture perfect blow off top, guys, right at this level. And then we entered this handle-like formation, ultimately getting a confluence and a breakout, right? But this is the number one sign, guys. We don't have anything to look at on the weekly as far as a resistance perspective. So we were heavily centering in on this within the last few updates, guys. And we have seen the strong movement up. We mentioned that a strong movement over this level would euphorically squeeze us to 20 bucks. And that's what we are seeing as of now. So if we zoom out, guys, we notice that in the past, besides this $20 psychological level, we had zero resistance, right? When we initially IPO'd in SoFi around that, 2020, 2021 region, we spiked up aggressively, no issues at all, guys. Once again, zero issues before finding multiple resistance points at this level. We came to the floor within this range. Whoops, came to the floor. We came up and rejected perfectly at this level, 180ing, right? Once again, we come from the floor, perfectly this level, and 180, guys. So this is the only resistance we have to keep in mind from the macro perspective. And stock price hasn't been within these levels since that 2021, 2022 region. So being that stock price is now breaking over this major swing high, guys, on the weekly analysis, we have no long-term price resistance besides this psychological $20 level until 24.25. So this is why we set this price target, guys. Nothing random about this at all. This is technical analysis raw in the flesh, guys. So with that being said, stock price looks great, man. It looks great. You want to see exiting over this top of this resistance, a strong movement up. That's what we've seen. The buyers have dominated, right? Even if the sellers do step in within the short-term perspective, get a little bit of a grindy, trip down, getting a little bit of a short set. It's not really much in it for the sellers, as even if we do have a little bit of a pullback, we're almost certainly going to bounce from 1840 being a massive level. Right. So with that being said, that is the weekly analysis, guys. We do lean very, very bullish, and leading into the next few months and weeks, we'll take 20 seconds to look at the monthly analysis. Yep. So we mentioned in the last video around that, $18 level. We look really, really good here, man. And that's what we're doing, right? We do have this descending trend line stepping into play as well. Another nice factor for the bulls here, right? Moving down, breaking over the top. Just a lot of nice things to be looked at. This is an incredible spot for the buyers here for the long term, and the sellers will have to do some very drastic things to flip stock price downward. So with that being said, let's go flip over the daily, get a little bit more of a medium-term analysis on stock price. If you guys followed the last few videos, we mentioned around this red candle over here, we have about an 80 to 85% probability to squeeze over this 1840 level and push to euphorically 20 bucks. I'm proud to say that did happen, guys. We had a really good read on this trend, really since this $13 level. Right, since confirming over the top, stock price has just been phenomenal, guys. And we did see a decent uptick in volume today, which immediately is notable. So stock price is in a good spot. You know, we do this ascending trend line, which we will get into on the hourly perspective. Right, let's ignore it for now on the daily. Let's highlight this a little bit darker, so it's not so much in the way. With that being said, though, if we analyze the current market structure, right, we have seen a big wide bar over this breakout level after about a 1, 2, 3-day consolidation. Break over the top, guys, and since then we have had a gap up and a heavy rejection on that $20 level, right? So as far as a short-term perspective, you know, within the next 1, 2 days, perhaps a little bit of a baby pullback to go and fill this gap. I know a lot of you guys know this. We have a lot of seasoned guys watching the channel. I appreciate you guys tuning in. But for the newer term traders, when we leave a gap up, right, reject a major level, this doesn't make sense, so we should come down to that, right, 1930 level, likely reversing here. So expect a micro pullback. It is very, very plausible, especially seeing we did have some rejection on that level and did close below 20 bucks. But more or less, guys, I really don't think stock price drops too much lower than, say, 18.50, 19 bucks. You know, I think we're maybe due for a little bit of a, you know, a pullback a day or two. We don't have to. We easily could spike up here. But honestly, the best case for the buyers, we do fill this obvious gap. We pull back from a few days, kind of get tight, get a little bit of consolidation, and then we move up higher. So on the daily analysis, it does appear that we're still moving in this breakout. We're seeing everything we want to, but having this massive rise up quickly over the last 4 days, surging up about 20%, it would make sense to kind of grind back here, but there is not enough selling opportunity to go short here, guys. I would not advise to go short on the stock. I really wouldn't advise it, guys. But with that being said, that's what we're looking like on the daily, man. So let's go jump over to the hourly to get the short-term analysis, and we could wrap this whole image together. Man, SoFi is a beautiful mover, guys. We did call the breakout at that $13 level, right down around these regions when we did break out, but the official breakout level, which we did say over here in the daily, guys, this is the breakout candle. It's all the signs in the daily. It points to the upside, guys. Looks very, very nice. And we do expect, you know, stock price to get to this level, maybe consolidate. We'll see what happens when when we get here. We'll cover that. But eventually, ultimately, making the move up to reclaiming these highs around here, around that $18 level, guys. Notice how we're getting thin. Since the breakout, decent moves up. You know, nothing too meaningful. And then boom, we break this descending area value with a huge body bar. This was the breakout. Better seen on the hourly, guys. This nice surge of liquidity. Since then, we consolidate under this major level and break out. We did mention that within the last video, we are holding this ascending trend line, guys. Could bounce here and just euphorically squeezed up. We did lean into this kind of structure being formed for around 1 or 2 extra days and then ultimately breaking out. We did say there's an 80% probability we do break over or squeeze 20 bucks. But guys, SoFi took the fast track. It continues to exceed technical analysts' expectation. It really does. It's an incredibly strong stock, guys, and we did not enter a day or two consolidation extra. Breaking out here, right, we skip the line. We jump right out of this, you know, the top of this descending trend line over this level and just had some incredible price action, guys. So on the currently hourly perspective, guys, once again, it would make sense that we do come down and fill this gap as far as the technical perspective, right? If we fill this gap, we could find support on this ascending trend line. And you can move this a little bit, guys. I believe it did get crooked a little bit, accidentally moved it right around there. But within this rough region, guys, around that 1930, 1950 range, it's been just such a kick-ass, you know, spot for the stock, guys. We have a strong movement up. We come down, momentarily false break beneath, reclaim it, massive move up. We ride it, massive move up, get a little bit extended. We come down. We mentioned this within the last update. Bouncing right at this level and boom, right? Now we're a little bit extended, so it would make sense, right? We come down to it, we get the bounce, and then we move up higher. I do think this ascending trend line will continue to play out for quite some time, guys. This could lead us to as high as 22, 23 bucks. When you see a stock respecting this kind of ascending trend line, very, very nice throughout the breakout. It's just a phenomenal sign, guys. So on the hourly analysis, the last thing we really want to touch upon is that we do look, you know, quite bullish. I mean, as far as like the last, you know, day of price action, we had a big move up, we spiked down, but now we have buyers defending these daily lows with a nice end of day. So there is a world where we do squeeze over 20 bucks, guys, and just euphorically go up, right? We have been wrong in the last video. We did expect a day or two of pause and then a move up, So perhaps we're wrong again, and we take the fast track once again, confirming over $20, pushing eventually our $24, $25 price targets. But within the short term of things, it really does set up for a bull flag kind of structure, right? Stock price kind of grinds down in this descending fashion, getting choppy, 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 likely filling this gap, finding support at the descending trend line. Just a lot of things going on around this 1930 level. Be a good dip buying opportunity if buyers step up over here, filling the gap, descending trend line, and this flag. I think it's very, very plausible. Right, we've had a sharp movement up by the bulls, a big movement up, and now we're kind of initiating the start of this trend. So I do think we hang around this channel for a few days. Right, I do think there's more juice to squeeze on SoFi Technologies. I do not think this is spot to sell. We said that within the last video, around these $18 levels, but I really think stock is looking kick ass, man. So I think we'll have a few days of pullback or very tight consolidation, right? Eventually breaking over $20, guys, and rising to these 22, 23, eventually $24, $25 levels, being these IPO highs, guys, that are just so prevalent on the monthly analysis. If we zoom in a little bit more, monthly analysis and the weekly, guys. So we are targeting these highs. We do have strong confidence within it, and seeing stock price confirm week after week, day after day, we feel more and more confident, and the implied probability raises as it continues to rise, guys. That being said, if you found any value to the video, consider like, subscribing. We'll go over these price action updates live about 1 to 2 times per week, about 2 times per week. With that being said, guys, have a good day, man. Take care and trade smart, and peace.